Now, after European Union refused to give the green pass to Indian vaccines, some countries have now gone a step ahead and given approvals for Covishield. 8 European Union countries, including Switzerland, have now approved Indian vaccine Covishield. EU nations like Austria, Germany, Slovenia, Greece, Iceland, Ireland and Spain have confirmed including Covishield in their green pass. Estonia has also approved all vaccines in India, Covishield and Covaxin. Now, these nations have given a nod to Covishield after European Union made it quite clear that member states had the option of approving WHO-authorized vaccines. This comes after India sent out an offer to the European Union. Sources have told India today that India will begin reciprocal policy when it comes to exemption from quarantine for the European countries. Now, India's tourism sector, which was witnessing a revival in the initial months of 2021, was severely hit by the second wave of the coronavirus. However, countries like Serbia, Mauritius and Afghanistan are once again welcoming Indians. Here's more on that.
Jet, set, go. Feels like eons you did that. The COVID pandemic took a toll on travel, and many frequent flyers are now happy about some countries willing to welcome Indian tourists. Russia. This charming country continues to welcome Indians even during the peak of COVID, just like Serbia. So if you're looking to pack your bags and go on a holiday, Russia is ready to welcome you. Passengers entering the country must have a negative COVID RT-PCR test, with them issued at most 72 hours before arrival. There are also quarantine requirements since Moscow has been on a lockdown because of rise in COVID cases. Self-isolation of 7 days at home or in your hotel room is the catch here. Serbia again is welcoming Indians. Travelers would have to present a negative RT-PCR test no older than 72 hours, and all arrivals are required to fill in a health declaration. Starting 15th of July, the good news is the island of Mauritius is ready to welcome Indians. If you are vaccinated, you can soak into the sun, sand and the sea at a resort in Mauritius. However, if you're not vaccinated, you will be subject to 14 days in a room quarantine. Don't forget the RT-PCR if you're planning to take a vacation there. Afghanistan is open for Indians with a valid visa, and a COVID negative report is not mandatory.
It's been a really hard 15 months or so for the travel industry, and especially for someone like myself who's on the road often. I travel a fair bit for trade shows and also to film my travel series around the globe, and it's been really tough. I think moving into 2022, the second quarter, we should see a boom.
VFS has the updated list of countries easing restrictions or opening up for visa applications, being divided in various categories. While most countries are still not allowing travelers, there are some that have started accepting visa applications for all categories. Others still are only allowing those within a certain category, like students, business or privileged visa holders like golden visa, residence permit and long-term visas. You can even visit Belgium if you are approved by an embassy or have a long permit visa. Cyprus is allowing entry for family members of the EU or if you have resident permit, unless you are approved by the embassy for essential services. And hence a vacation in Cyprus is out of the question really. Pre-approved cases from embassy also have an option to visit France, Germany, Latvia, Luxembourg, Portugal. If you plan to go to the US, then you can if you hold a student, work, business or spouse-related visa. Slowly, the countries across the world are open to having Indians after the deadly second wave. All of this can really change if a third wave takes over. Until then, bon voyage. With Geeta Mohan in New Delhi, Chaiti Narula for India Today.
Meanwhile, the government panel has recommended against allowing Serum Institute of India to conduct trial of Covax on children aged 2 to 17 years. According to sources, expert panel of the country's Central Drug Authority on Wednesday advocated against granting permission to the Serum Institute of India to conduct the phase 2 and 3 trials of COVID-19 vaccine Covax on children aged 2 to 17 years. The government panel reportedly cited that the vaccine has not yet been approved in any country. Serum Institute had earlier this week sought permission from Drugs Controller General of India to conduct trials of Covax on 920 children. According to reports, the expert panel also urged Serum Institute to submit the safety and immunogenicity data of Covax from ongoing clinical trials in adults for considering the conduct of a clinical trial in children. Now, former Deputy Chief Minister of Bihar and RJD leader Tejaswi Yadav and his older brother Tej Pratap finally took the vaccine jab. But it's not even a week now since Tejaswi said that he would take the vaccine only if every single person in Bihar was inoculated. What really made Tejaswi here change his stance in a week's time? This news report explains it all.
Tejaswi Yadav has been a target of the BJP and JDU over his reluctance to take the COVID-19 vaccine. But that defiance has changed now. On Wednesday afternoon, Lalu's son Tej Pratap and Tejaswi reached Medanta Hospital in Patna and took the first dose of the Sputnik vaccine. Medanta Hospital is the first in Bihar where the Russian vaccine has been made available.
बहुत लोग बोलते रहते हैं, बोलने दीजिए, उनका अपना काम है। हम लोगों ने स्पुतनिक लगाया। जानते हैं कि
The change of heart came less than a week after the former Bihar Deputy CM said he would take the jab when needed. Both Tejaswi and Tej Pratap have been relentlessly criticizing the Nitish government's vaccination drive. The JDU slammed the brothers for taking a Russian vaccine and not a homegrown one.
तेजस्वी यादव कोविड-19 के टीकाकरण को जनवरी 2021 में काल्पनिक बता रहे थे और ये अभी तक मुगालते में थे, लेकिन खैर टीका लिया तो देसी नहीं विदेशी.
What could have changed their mind is a direction issued by the Bihar Assembly Speaker that every legislator needs to get vaccinated before the beginning of the monsoon session of the House. With Rohit Singh in Patna, Bureau Report, India Today.
दिन रात दौड़ती इस दुनिया में, क्या तुम्हें अपनी परवाह भी है? औरों की खुशी में खुश हो तुम, क्या इससे ज्यादा कुछ चाह भी है? नम आँखों की मुस्कान हो, तप त्याग की पहचान हो, उम्मीदें हो सबकी, दिलासे हो तुम। खुदा तो नहीं पर खुदा से हो तुम, खुदा तो नहीं पर खुदा से हो तुम।
Now, Prime Minister Narendra Modi addressed the medical fraternity to mark the National Doctors' Day in the country. In his address, the Prime Minister thanked doctors to have been working tirelessly to save lakhs of lives amid this deadly pandemic. Prime Minister Modi compared doctors with gods and added that doctors have changed the course of our lives. Prime Minister mentioned that central government had allocated rupees 15,000 crores as a special fund to increase the health infrastructure within the country. He's also thanked doctors and medical practitioners for promoting yoga and wellness. Ahead of the address, Prime Minister Modi put out a tweet thanking doctors. In the tweet, he said, and I quote, "India's strides in the world of medicine are commendable and have contributed to making our planet a lot healthier."
आज जब देश कोरोना से इतनी बड़ी जंग लड़ रहा है तो डॉक्टर्स ने दिन रात मेहनत करके लाखों लोगों का जीवन बचाया है। ये पुण्य कार्य करते हुए देश के कई डॉक्टर्स ने अपना जीवन भी न्यौछावर कर दिया। मैं जीवन आहूत करने वाले इन सभी डॉक्टर्स को अपनी विनम्र श्रद्धांजलि अर्पित करता हूं और परिवार के प्रति अपनी संवेदना व्यक्त करता हूं। हमारी सरकार ने डॉक्टर्स के खिलाफ हिंसा को रोकने के लिए पिछले वर्ष ही कानून में कई कड़े प्रावधान किए हैं। इसके साथ ही हम अपने कोविड वॉरियर्स के लिए फ्री इंश्योरेंस कवर स्कीम भी लेकर आए हैं। आप पूरे अटेंशन के साथ ही अपने अनुभवों का डॉक्यूमेंटेशन भी करते रहें। पेशेंट के साथ आपके एक्सपीरियंसेस का डॉक्यूमेंटेशन बहुत ही अहम है। साथ ही मरीज के सिम्टम्स, ट्रीटमेंट प्लान और उनके रिस्पॉन्स का भी डिटेल डॉक्यूमेंटेशन होना चाहिए। यह एक रिसर्च स्टडी के रूप में भी हो सकता है जिसमें विभिन्न प्रकार की दवाओं और ट्रीटमेंट्स के असर को नोट किया गया हो।
Let's take a quick listen to some of the reactions from some of those COVID warriors on Doctors' Day across the nation.
साल से डॉक्टर जो हैं इस लड़ाई में लड़ रहे हैं और हमें अप्रिशिएट करना चाहिए कि उन्होंने कितना काम किया है। उन डॉक्टर्स को याद करना चाहिए जिन्होंने इस लड़ाई में अपनी जान दे दी और उनको याद करते हुए हमें ये सोचना चाहिए कि हमें ऐसे सिचुएशन क्रिएट करनी है कि आगे इतने ज़्यादा केसेस ना बढ़ें, चाहे कोविड अप्रोप्रिएट बिहेवियर हो, चाहे वैक्सीनेशन हो, उसको हम पूरी तरह से आगे लेके जाएं जिससे हॉस्पिटल्स पे स्ट्रेन कम पड़े और एडमिशन्स कम हो और डॉक्टर्स पे स्ट्रेन कम पड़े।
We have seen so much suffering that we have never seen before in our lives. I just want you all to make sure that you have trust in your doctors and take care of the safety precautions and stay healthy and safe.
Really, COVID has really taxed our time. And I think we have been perturbed, but they want to deal with the COVID people with determination and dedication. COVID or no COVID, our dedication to the patients will remain the same. Thank you, my friends, and many, many happy returns for today's day.
We would have to wear the entire gear that is associated with the working in a COVID ward. So what used to happen was that entire kit, once you wear the entire kit and once you get into the COVID ward, within the first half an hour you're completely drenched top to bottom. Like there's nothing which is really spared. And then after that for the next 6 hours you're left basically marinating in your own sweat.
Now, considered a heaven for tourists at one point, Kerala's Wayanad has been severely affected by the pandemic. Over the last 2 decades, tourism has grown as the most popular source of revenue for people of Wayanad. But now the pandemic has directly affected the lives of 30,000 people there in the vicinity. Here's a report on that.
2 successive years of floods and 2 years of COVID-19 pandemic. Wayanad's tourism industry that directly supports 30,000 people has suffered a crippling blow. Ranjit had just started his career when the virus hit. The 23-year-old moved up the ladder from a room boy to a front office manager at a resort in Wayanad within a year before the lockdowns grounded him.
ലോക്ക്ഡൗണിന് മുന്നേ നല്ല റഷായിരുന്നു, നല്ല ഗസ്റ്റും കാര്യങ്ങളൊക്കെ വരുമായിരുന്നു, കുഴപ്പമൊന്നും ഉണ്ടായിരുന്നില്ല. ലോക്ക്ഡൗൺ വന്നപ്പോൾ നല്ല രീതിയിൽ ബാധിച്ചു. കാരണം നമ്മളൊരു 2-3 മാസം വീട്ടിൽ തന്നെയായിരുന്നു. പിന്നെ പാർട്ട് ടൈം ആയിട്ട് എന്തെങ്കിലും ചെറിയ വർക്കിനൊക്കെ പോകും, അതൊക്കെ തന്നെ ഉണ്ടായിരുന്നുള്ളൂ. ഈ ഏപ്രിൽ മാസം, അതായത് നമ്മുടെ ഇലക്ഷൻ്റെ ടൈം വരെ ഉണ്ടായിരുന്നു. അത് കഴിഞ്ഞിട്ടാണ് ഇത് ഭയങ്കരമായിട്ട് എലാബറേറ്റ് ആയപ്പോഴാണ് ഇത് ക്ലോസ് ചെയ്തത്.
Last year, Ranjit's father had a stroke, rendering him bedridden. With resorts shut indefinitely, he now works as a painter, but the work is inconsistent and pay quite low. 41-year-old Zubair has a similar story to tell. After working in the tourism industry for nearly 2 decades as a guide, he is now jobless.
Mainly after the COVID, nobody is coming to Wayanad. If the tourists are not coming, the Wayanad means we are not getting any income from our side. So it's I can say it's very badly affected our life.
Girish, an accredited karate instructor, opened a small resort near Kalpeta along with his friend. He used all his savings and borrowed money from a financial institution to fund the venture. 2 months after the property was ready, Kerala went into a complete lockdown. Girish and his partner had to lay off 2/3 of their employees, from front office to housekeeping. They now do it all.
ഞങ്ങളിത് തുടങ്ങി നല്ല ബിസിനസ്സൊക്കെ ആയ സമയത്താണ് ലോക്ക്ഡൗൺ വരുന്നത്. ഡിസംബറിൽ സ്റ്റാർട്ട് ചെയ്തു, നമ്മൾ മാർച്ചിൽ ഇത് അടയ്ക്കേണ്ടി വന്നു. പിന്നീടുള്ള കാലം എല്ലാവരും പോലെ വളരെ കഷ്ടമായിരുന്നു. പക്ഷേ ഞങ്ങൾ എന്ത് ചെയ്തെന്ന് വെച്ചാൽ അത് എല്ലാം മെയിൻറ്റെയിൻ ചെയ്തു. സ്റ്റാഫ് 3 പേരുണ്ടായിരുന്നു, അത് 2 പേരെ ഒഴിവാക്കി ഞാനും പാർട്ണറും പിന്നെ ഒരു സ്റ്റാഫും കൂടി നിന്നിട്ട് ഇതെല്ലാം ചെയ്തുകൊണ്ടിരുന്നത്.
The Wayanad Tourism Organisation says the crisis is the worst they have ever faced.
I think we have sent a mail or something on how tourism can be developed. I mean, that initiatives we have taken. We have spoken to people here also, irrespective of political affiliations. I think we should all come together at this point and try to revive the industry.
Like these vehicles, lives of thousands of people who were depending on tourism have come to a complete standstill in Wayanad. While few of them are on the lookout for alternate avenues for basic living, those remaining are literally clueless about their way forward. With camera person Tinku Rajshekharan, Gopi Krishnan in Wayanad for India Today.
Now, the Indian Olympics Association and the Indian contingent has been left quite angry after the Japanese government asked delegates and athletes coming in from 11 countries, including India, to undergo daily COVID-19 tests for a week prior to their departure and not interact with anyone from another country for 3 days on arrival. Now, the IOA has alleged discrimination and harassment here. Polemy Berman brings us more on this. Let's take a listen.
Weeks to go for the Grand Olympics 2020 in Tokyo. Preparations are on a war footing to hold the games amid a pandemic. Strict regulations have been put in place for athletes arriving from 11 countries where COVID cases are high, and that includes India.
The rules which are imposed to Indian contingent is more of harassment, what I feel, because they have been asked to get PCR tested for continuous week before traveling to Japan, and of course that will jolt their commitment and confidence.
Athletes coming in from India have to undergo daily COVID tests for a week prior to their departure and also remain isolated for 3 days upon arrival in Tokyo. These norms are only for specific countries, and it hasn't gone down well with the Indian Olympic authorities.
In the light of the pandemic, the Tokyo Olympics 2020 Organizing Committee have imposed strict rules on those coming in from other foreign countries, specified by the Organizing Committee, including India, that have reported different variants of the virus. It has led to a lot of criticism from the Indians living in Tokyo.
We spoke to Indians living in Tokyo on these regulations, and many opined that it is indeed unfair.
I feel every country form an integral part of Olympics. So each and every country has to be represented equally in Olympics. So I feel that putting restrictions on only a few countries it does not make much sense.
But there are also many in the Indian diaspora who believe that these norms are the need of the hour to ensure there is no COVID spread in Tokyo.
Like India is still in the blacklist, I don't think there is anything wrong with these restrictions on Indian players.
I think it's good that they have imposed some good rules, and they should not allow everyone right now, because in Japan still we don't have such problems with the corona, and I don't think that if they will allow it, it can create some problem.
It's a matter of life and death. So yes, we should be very cautious of this, and as we always know that guests to a house have to obey the rules of that house. So let's not take it too much on the rules part, and let's be safe. I would like to wish our country all the best and stay safe.
The Tokyo Olympics has been marred by controversy, with protests also rocking the city, opposing the games being held amid a pandemic. But authorities have made it clear that all norms are in place to ensure a safe Olympics this year. India too is hoping to bag several medals. 86 Indian athletes, including 2 teams, have so far qualified for the Tokyo Olympics, and we're aiming high. India is hoping to send over 111 athletes as part of the contingent.
It is clear, no matter how strict the rules are or how many debates are raised, the Indian diaspora here is waiting to cheer for the fellow Indian athletes during Olympics 2020. With Paulami Burman from Tokyo for India Today.
All right, on that note, I'm going to slip into a short break. We'll be right back with news for the hearing impaired. Stay tuned.